Hi, this is Diane Lovetobake on YouTube. And what I'm going to make is actually a prune cake. Now, for you folks out there that probably don't like prunes, well, maybe this isn't the cake for you. But it really is a great tasting cake. In fact, when people have tried it, they didn't really know there were prunes in it. I think they really, as I recall, they asked if they were raisins. But it really has a great blend of a spice cake. It's rich, it's flavorful, it smells just delicious when you're baking it in the kitchen. And if you like spice cakes, you would like this cake. Now, this particular cake is also made with solid shortening. So some of you folks out there don't like solid shortening, so maybe this recipe isn't for you. But this is the only way that I've ever made it, and it really does come out exceptional. So let's get started. First, we're going to start off with a half a cup of solid shortening. And then I'm just going to cream this. Now, you can certainly use your hand mixer if you don't want to use your stand. You're also going to be putting in 1 cup of granulated sugar, a little at a time, till all the shortening and sugar are blended together. Now that shouldn't take you very long at all, maybe about a minute or two or less. Really depends on the speed that you're beating the mixtures with. The next thing you're going to be putting in is 2 eggs, 1 at a time, and they've been at room temperature. Combine the shortening, the sugar, and those eggs till they come out very smooth and lemon yellow in color, okay? I'm going to warn you about the sound that the mixer's, I'm going to turn it up a little bit, so I'll warn you about the sound. Once that you've got that well combined, okay, and it'll look quite fluffy and quite light and very pale yellow in color, okay, we're going to start with our dry ingredients. And what you're going to be putting in is 2 cups of all-purpose flour. You're also going to be putting in 1 teaspoon of baking soda. You're going to be putting in 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, 1/4 teaspoon of cloves. Now, if you don't like cloves, you know, just don't put it in, not to worry. And 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, okay? And then I'm just going to stir it in a little bit, and then I'm going to start adding the dry to the wet on low, a little at a time, and then I'm going to alternate with the liquid. And the liquid, of course, is the prune juice. You need 1 cup of prune juice, whatever brand that you prefer to use, okay? So I'm going to start putting the flour in a little bit and alternate with the juice till it's combined. Now you want to beat this till it's smooth. So you know that might take you 3 minutes or 4 minutes. really depends. Okay, that's the end of the dry. And now we'll put the rest of the prune juice in. And I'm going to raise my speed, so I'm warning you about the sound. Okay, now once you combine that, and you'll see a nice, fluffy, light, almost looks like milk chocolate, a very light milk chocolate. In fact, let me show that to you, that you can see that. Okay, hope you can see that. And the last thing we're going to be putting in is a cup of chopped prunes, okay? And use, again, whatever brand. They're all pitted, of course. Now, I can put them in and beat them in, or I can do it, you know, by hand, but I'm just gonna beat it in. I think it helps so that the chopped up prunes don't stick together, but you can fold them in by hand if you prefer, okay? Now let's take out the paddle, get rid of the excess, and then again I'm going to show you what the batter looks like. Now you will need a fluted pan or a pan, baking pan that is going to hold your cake batter. Get that out of the way. So I'm using this fluted pan. I did heavily grease it, and then I dusted it with flour. If you don't want to dust with flour, you can dust with breadcrumbs, dried breadcrumbs. I use that a lot. And just let me bring everything together. I just want to make sure everything's not sitting on the bottom of my mixing bowl. The batter has a really nice smell to it with all the spices, and then you can see those chunks of prunes in there. It really makes for a very moist, delicate cake. Now, I'm sorry, but I won't have the ingredients below the video. I don't do that anymore due to people that are taking my videos and bringing them to other sites and claiming them their work, and if they're not, it's my work. So I really am going to ask you to really kindly watch me, and only on YouTube, because that's the only place that I put my videos on, where they're shown. And I always invite you to write me, or if you have a question, if you try this recipe and you like it, I love to hear from you. But again, watch me on YouTube, because I hate to say this after every video, but I find my work at other places. You've written me questions, or you have comments, or whatever. I want to answer and I can't. So please remember, I'm on YouTube, okay? And now I'm just taking off the excess, and then just with a knife here, a little butter knife, I'm just smoothing it around so it's equal. Okay. Now, you're going to bake this cake at 350 degrees, and it's going to take you about 40 to 45 minutes. When it comes out of the oven, and do check it, of course, with your cake tester, a toothpick, or that kind of thing. You know, when you pull it out and it's dry, you know that the cake is baked and it's done. But put it on a cooling rack before you turn it out you know, onto your plate logically, okay? But again, 350 for 40 to 45 minutes. So let me get rid of this, and I want to rinse my hands quickly. I don't want to touch a cake that I have had raw eggs on my hands here. This is how it will bake up. Now, if you don't want to garnish it, you just want to sprinkle powdered sugar on it or make a sugar glaze like I did, you can use just powdered sugar with milk or water to the consistency of how thick or thin that you want it. And then I just went ahead and I dusted it light with some almonds, and then I have chocolate covered almonds on the top of it just for a little garnish, that type of thing. But let's cut into the cake so that you can get a better idea of the crumb texture and the inside of the cake, okay? So let me pull that up. I hope that you can see how beautiful this cake is. It again has that ginger spice color to it, and then you can see the prunes all inside. They're still very moist. They're not dry. They're not real tough. And then I don't know if you can see me even squeezing the cake, but how really light. And let me just grab a fork here so that I could show you the crumb pulling apart from this cake. How moist, how delicate it is. It's not real dense or real heavy that you think it is. And when you bite into it, really, truly, it tastes like you're eating a great tasting fruit cake. And especially if you do like prunes, the flavor of plums, of course, then you're going to really like this cake. And I think the folks that you offer a slice to are going to like it too, with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, that kind of thing. So if you want to try something different, you want a little bit, maybe more of a healthy version using prunes, well, give this little cake a try. I think you're going to like it. I think that hearing the name prune might be a little bit of a turnoff. Well, once you have a slice of it, you'll want another piece of this cake. Now, again, if you try this cake and you liked it, leave a comment, because I'd like to hear from you. If you'd like to give me a like, that would be fantastic, or ring the bell, or if you're so inclined to even subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it very much. I appreciate your time in watching my video. So I want to thank you again for watching Diane Lovetobake on YouTube, and I'll see you soon.